We got to keep our table doing good,
That's
yes,
right.
yes.
You'll have a lot of depositors that are all putting in one.
Yeah, so that, those I get, but, yeah, the pair, and then I'm like, oh, such an idiot, right?
And then if you want to do things, we can.
I found it curious that it was.
I'll look at it, but it's probably good that we saw it, we saw the letters, you know, I'll bill it. It would be not knowing what it is.
Yeah. November. It just, it looks like definitely a bill, because it has the vendor name. So it must be a bill.
Yeah.
But we marked it maybe as a deposit.
Whatever it is.
It's blue, this is gray, is that brown?
Almost green. Green?
Oh, Megan, you can see me after for more information on this. I just can't.
It's a nice looking shirt. I got you.
No reason.
Well, look at you.
About the answer.
Claim the same.
Walk up real serious real fast. When these guys,
We might quit talking.
galleries get real serious.
What did you do, Tracy?
Cruise control.
Yeah.
And hope the one in front isn't a cattle truck.
Technology.
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank everybody for coming tonight. Go ahead and do roll call. Deb?
Here.
Michelle? Here. Larry?
Here,
Megan? Here. Sarah? Here. Motion to approve the agenda as presented or amended? So moved.
second.
Motion and second to approve the agenda as presented. Any other questions? Now we'll go to vote. Deb?
Yes.
Michelle?
Yes.
Larry?
Yes,
Megan? Yes. Sarah?
Yes.
All right, consent agenda.
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Mayor, may I have a
Yes.
question?
Hang on, we need to have a motion first.
Oh, okay.
You could second it and then ask.
Yep.
Oh,
You want a second?
yeah.
Okay, all right. All right, we have a motion and a second. Okay, go ahead.
Are the fire department minutes available for public reading?
They were, yes, we will upload them to the exact same, on our website, we have all of the minutes, and now that we have them, we'll publish those on the same chart as the regular minutes for the city council. And people will be able to filter, so if they want to see just city council, or fire, or library, they'll be able to go between.
Kind of surprised me when I saw them and saw minutes, but yet the sheet was...
Yeah, we're going to be a little bit more consistent in publishing minutes, from various meetings. We got behind with the fire departments and asked them if they could catch up, and they've been super helpful in getting those up to date. The detail has been a little bit sparse, and so I'm working with them to try to beef up a little bit of the detail. Usually minutes are just, supposed to record the major sort of votes and stuff like that, but try to get a little bit more context so that people can sort of follow along.
They wouldn't necessarily be recording them.
They won't be recorded like video or audio, just the written minutes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Now we'll go to vote. Michelle?
Yes.
Larry?
Yes.
Megan? Sarah?
Yes.
Deb?
Yes.
All right, on to updates for the city administrator update.
There's apparently some giant piece of fruit growing on our post outside of City Hall. So just a quick update on the strawberry. Obviously, you've seen it's been installed today. I just want to say thanks and recognize our city guys who oversaw the entire project from start to finish. Did an impeccable job. Really worked out the logistics. I want to thank the police department for helping with those logistics and the police escort either way, to and from. It was really a well-oiled machine, and the strawberry came down without incident, got fixed without incident, and got installed without incident. So really good job to everybody involved.
Thank you.
On the social media fronts, we did, obviously you saw the campaign that we did around the strawberry. As of about an hour ago, total count, we did 7 posts in that campaign, had 249,000 views, 3,700 clicks to our website, and we raised about $2,200.
Nice, that's awesome. Good job, thank you.
Yeah, really, really happy about that response.
Yeah.
And also very concerned that so many people thought that the strawberry actually got stolen. We had to field some emails and some Facebook messages. And phone calls too, yeah. So, a little concerning, but that's okay.
Well, they were paying attention.
Yeah.
They were paying attention. They just weren't reading the whole. They didn't read to the end.
Yeah.
This is a joke. And then, and actually, some people on today's post with the massive. I don't know if anybody saw it, the massive strawberry Photoshop. People were like, "Oh, it looks great." They had no idea that it's as big as the town. So we then put up a follow up with you know, the real strawberry. So, and then we will have probably a rededication or some sort of ribbon cutting. I'll work with the chamber, put something together for when the weather gets a little bit nicer, and we'll probably do it like on a Saturday when everybody can show up.
Sure.
And then we'll have the wall of seed sponsors published by then, and then the website will be done with those seed sponsors listed as well, so that they can get recognized, you know, on a Google search.
Good deal.
So, yeah, really, really happy with the whole thing. So that was it on my updates outside of what we'll be talking about on the agenda.
All right. Well, then we will move on to new business. Number 8, Resolution 2514, authorizing the purchase of a police vehicle.
I so move. Resolution 2514 on the authorization of the purchase of the police vehicle.
Okay,
Second?
sorry.
Nope, that's right.
Didn't realize.
All right, motion and second to discuss.
Great, so this is a budgeted expense to replace our 2018 truck, which is at the end of its useful life. So we will be, if this gets passed tonight, we'll be putting in a purchase order. We've also applied for a grant. Brandon, do you have information on the grant? This is really kind of a neat idea, and why the timing is such that we're going to be ordering it soon.
So, yeah, like Dina was saying, the car's been reserved for a while through Carl Chevrolet. They hold the state bid for Chevys, for government vehicles. So I think obviously you guys have the price and everything on all that. But for upfitting it, I went through it with the guy at Carl's emergency vehicles, and upfit was $17,584. And then we went through and with Levi and I getting through our EMT stuff recently, we also added in some medical equipment that we want to outfit both squads with that we can respond. So it'll be a medical bag with everything we need, plus oxygen that we can also administer to people before the ambulance can get there and stuff like that. So that came just shy of $2,000. So we put in for the whole grant that was $19,562 and some change, and with 70% of the is what I was asking for. So that'd be nice for the grant project for upfitting it. So that substantially cuts down the cost of outfitting the car. So fingers crossed that goes through and we're chosen to fill out the whole grant.
And that would come off of this $57,000 max, you know, so, yeah, that's good. And then as well, whatever proceeds we get from the sale of this vehicle, which will be a separate resolution at a separate time, but once we sell that, those proceeds will go into the accounts and help underwrite this purchase as well, so, yeah.
Good deal.
Will it be considered that for a trade-in value and not go through a hassle of resale like we have done before, if it looks like it would be a good enough?
So we can't get a quote on a trade-in until we actually drive the vehicle there and they can have a look at it. So we have two options. One is trade-in value. If we think that the trade-in value is fair, we'll do that. If we think that we can do better, there is a website where we could sell a used police vehicle, and they're typically getting a little bit more than trade-in value right now, but we'll bring that forward on a resolution when that time comes, and we'll have done that research, and we'll know both numbers side by side, and we'll present that before we do a sale of an asset resolution.
Okay. I didn't know if you take it down, they quote you, give you guys permission if it's within a certain amount that you could go ahead and do it.
I think we'll do that resolution at that time, and we'll say, you'll give us authorization if we can get X amount on trade-in, we'll do it immediately. If not, we'll do something else.
Yeah, I don't wanna hold that up.
Of course, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no, well, and we've got a few months to figure all those numbers out, and then obviously, we don't know what that's, God forbid, that it could be in an accident and, get totaled or, whatever, so, we will, I know you're getting the look from Jessica, how do you suggest that? No, we'll get those numbers and present something soon-ish, yeah.
And they'll be pretty good usually with because there's some equipment out of the 2018 that we'll reuse, like computer mount, things like that, and some of the firearms mounts that we'll pull out and reuse. So we'll just keep using the 18 and until that one's ready to be outfitted. So they'll order the things, that'll be equipment to go in the vehicle to outfit it, and we'll just have it ready to go
Okay,
for next budget when it's time to outfit it.
okay.
What's turnaround time they're thinking?
Usually anymore, it's been pretty quick, couple weeks. But when you take the one and they gotta rip a few things out, if it's a full tear down, it takes a little bit longer, but with this one, since it's 7 years old and they've updated the body style, I think twice,
Sure.
it's gonna take a little bit of
Yep.
time to rip it out, but not a whole lot. There's a lot that we can't reuse, so.
What was,
Cage and-
sorry.
Go ahead, sir.
What would the warranty be on that then?
So, we looked into that, you know, I had a conversation about it, we looked at possibly like an extended warranty, but you can't do that on government vehicles. So it's just the generic Chevy.
3 year,
Yep,
36,000.
3 years.
So then are you out a year since this is a 24?
No, so that, it goes into effect, he said when the vehicle goes into service.
Okay.
So since it's a 24, but it's a leftover,
Mhm.
so technically, it hasn't been in service yet. So as soon as we take it, it goes into service, it's
Okay.
titled, and then it goes, then the warranty starts to take it from there.
Is there a reason that we always choose a Tahoe?
A good reason, is we have Chevy right here in town for like warranty work, things like that. But another thing is they're also similar in price anymore, that in the resale on the Tahoes, we've been hearing that they're pretty good resale on them. So like that, not to get too much into it, but, they've been seeing really good resale values on the Tahoes too, so. And they're built on a truck frame over like the Durangos that they get beat up a little easier, and then the cars obviously and things like that, so they seem to hold up a little bit better, but a lot of stopping and going and idling and things like that, it's 7 years of car loans.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Not, we'll go to vote. Larry?
Yeah, yes.
Megan?
Yes.
Sarah?
Yes.
Deb?
Yes.
Michelle?
Yes.
Thanks, Brandon.
Thanks, Brandon.
All right, now for 9, resolution 2515, authorizing repairs to East Mission Street. Can I get a motion?
Oh. Second.
All right, motion and a second to discuss.
All right, Eric.
You called?
All right, Eric is here to discuss these repairs and why they're needed.
So, what I'm looking at doing is doing some like a hot power seal. What happens, like, with that asphalt we overlaid, that concrete moves in the winter, so that's where you get those cracks. So I wanna seal those now, is usually the one and done, you never have to do it again, because that tar will move with the asphalt. It'll prolong the life of that asphalt a lot. I mean, it doesn't have to be done, but I highly recommend we do it because it's gonna last a lot longer. It's a pretty nice street, you know, I like to keep it that way.
Yeah, yeah.
I can guarantee on that sealing that you're doing on the cracks, that's what they did on our driveway when they did it.
Yeah.
That's great.
It keeps the moisture out, so it doesn't break, it
Yeah.
doesn't stall down in it.
So this will cover everything that was done last summer, like east.
All the way out to, the cemetery.
Cemetery.
All that new asphalt, that's the entire thing.
Any questions? Now we'll go to vote. Megan?
Yes.
Sarah?
Yes.
Deb?
Yes.
Michelle?
Yes.
Larry?
Yes.
All right. Thanks, Eric.
Thank you.
All right, number 10, resolution 2516, appointing Dean Portman as fire chief for a 1-year term.
Motion? Second.
All right, motion and a second.
Great. So, the acting chief has been dean for the last number of months, and got word from the fire department that he's been nominated to act as chief for a 1-year term. He was trying to be here today. He is stuck at work. I verified that. Like, he really wanted to be here if there were any questions. But his work schedule's been a little crazy the last week, so I did talk to him just before the meeting. If there are any questions or whatever, I can relay them to him and, you know, get an answer and send it via email. But this was the nominee of the fire department.
What's the standard, and maybe you can probably answer, Megan, what's the standard term for fire chief? Is it just 1 year at a time?
2-year terms, I think, I believe.
they're offset, all the officers are offset, so you're not voting on the same, you know, kind of like council is,
Okay. So is that why he's only for 1 year right now?
because he just finished a year.
He's already done a year.
Yeah.
Gotcha, okay. I was just curious if that was
Yeah.
I couldn't hear that.
Oh, I was just asking what the length of term is for a fire.
Yes, I was wondering that too. What is the length?
It's 2 years.
2-year term.
And he served one as interim chief, so this will complete the 2-year term.
And then it goes to someone else.
Well, it doesn't have to necessarily go to somebody else, but the nomination process will start over.
Started.
Yeah.
How long has he served as chief
In this latest
in the past?
capacity?
Yeah.
In the past, I don't know. I wasn't here. Megan, you might be able to know.
I won't be able to tell you how many years for sure, I don't know. He's been chief before though, yeah.
And others have been chief in.
Yes.
Okay.
I could find that information out for you if you're that interested.
I
Okay.
just was curious about the internal operations of
Sure.
how they are selected.
And process of selection is the volunteer firemen vote who they wish for their
Correct.
chief to be.
The entire department, if I'm not
Yes.
mistaken. Is that correct, Megan?
Yep.
Yeah.
Do we have minutes from that, like,
We
Reflecting-
we don't have the minutes, for that meeting just happened, so we
Oh,
don't
okay.
have the minutes yet for it, but we will.
Okay.
And like I said, I've asked them to add a little bit more context to the meeting minutes so that, you know, they've definitely taken a very Occam's razor approach, which is fine. I mean, I also do that in many ways. But I said it would be good to just have a little bit more context and a little bit more, especially because the meetings are not short, so
Right.
it'd be good to know, like, okay, so did that decision take an hour and a half or not? So
Right.
we'll beef them up a little bit and make sure that it's to everybody's satisfaction, and then if not, we can continue to modify it as we move forward.
So as a council, we shape the nature of the minutes that a fire chief is selected, or other offices within the fire department.
It's a gray area about who has absolute control over how the minutes are done. In my perfect world, we're all just working together and being accommodating and, you know, getting the minutes to where we want them to be, instead of sticking to the letter of, you know, of the law, like the spirit of transparency is really what we're after. So, been working really well with the fire chief and his team, and so no reason to believe that we couldn't get what we want in the minutes. So, I've gotten a lot of feedback from various council members, and if you have feedback at any time, you know, please don't hesitate to let me know.
All right. Any other questions? Now, we'll go to vote. Sarah?
Yes.
Deb?
Yes?
Michelle?
Yes.
Larry?
Yes.
Meg?
Yes.
All right, number 11, motion to appoint Doug Meyer to the fire department.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
All right, motion and second to appoint.
Great, so this is one of those gray areas that we've been talking about. I guess this rule has not necessarily been enforced historically in Strawberry Point, but technically the law states that when the fire department nominates a person to join the department, that a check and balance exists and that the city council has to sign off on it just by motion, not by resolution. And so, my apologies, we added somebody to the fire department in like the early part of the year, and it just didn't even dawn on me to put a motion on the table for discussion, so that's on me. Moving forward, I've spoken to the fire chief, and, you know, he's let me know that this is not a typical thing that's enforced. But it is my job to follow the law, so I definitely will be adding any new members to the fire department by motion here before they serve. So that's it moving forward. And then I'd like to get some feedback also from the city council about what sort of information you would want about each nominee that would be joining the department. Because on Doug, I mean, I know that everybody knows Doug, but let's say that somebody was here that not everybody knew. Are you looking for a bio, a couple of sentences? I'd like to know what to present in front of you before just a motion without any backup documentation. So if there's any feedback, it would be good to know.
So now they currently fill out an application, I guess I should say, they all fill out an application, and they have several questions on that, so that is something that we could pass on.
There are no specific requirements then? I mean, you have to be a certain age?
You have to be
Or,
18.
you know, take a physical or something like that?
No physicals are
No.
required?
Yeah. No, there's no physical, you have to be 18 years old. And there might be a couple of other legal requirements. I don't know if the arrest background has anything to do with it or not. I don't know. I could look and see if there are any restrictions, but I'm not aware of any off the top of my head.
You have to live in the service area.
Yeah.
Maybe, if you guys do have a
Not
question
necessarily,
there,
though.
passed along.
If they work in the service area.
Yeah, if you guys want to, what's that?
If they work in the service area, they don't
Yeah,
necessarily have to
sometimes,
live, yeah.
I know a lot of the departments
Because we
that
would
are
love to have people that
short-handed
work here,
will
yeah.
have, like,
Yeah.
people that work in town during the day that
Yeah.
are maybe on another fire department, like, participate.
That would be appreciated, yeah.
Or if they have any background.
Well, that's
So
why
we'll do the application.
Yeah, honestly, if they fill out an application, we could just
Yeah.
keep it
That's why
like,
Megan was saying that they
Yeah.
have some questions for the fire department, maybe she could.
Yeah, if you guys have certain ones you want to ask or
or
something, I mean, let me know, and we can add it to it.
Do you ask if they have the background or any prior training?
I mean, most of the people we know, so we kind of know if they have background, because
Yeah,
they're
but
all
you-
common people, but, I mean, we don't run a background check now.
Maybe like a blank, one of like the questionnaires or whatever they fill out for you guys, if you guys could send to Dino so that he could pass that along to us, so we could maybe pick a few out or something that
Yeah,
would be a good one.
Cool. Yeah, and I'll work with the chief and make sure that we get those applications up front, so that when we have a motion on the table, you guys have that backed up. And then, obviously, that gets published early, so then if you have any questions about that particular applicant, then we can, ask them to be here, or ask the chief to be here to answer questions.
Sure.
I think that would be helpful. I mean, they do it for the board, and the employees, like at the library.
Sure. Yeah, and it's just good to know, it's like, it's good to
We should
inform the public.
Do it across the board,
No, your
Exactly.
police, whoever.
Yep.
And at least
Exactly.
we can get to know who they are, because a lot of them are on your department, and have no idea who they are.
Yeah. Great, thank you.
All right, any other questions? Now we'll go to vote. Deb?
Yes.
Michelle?
yes.
Larry?
Yes.
Megan?
Yes.
Sarah? Yes. All right, number 12, motion to give direction to the city administrator regarding the city pool.
Make a motion for this.
Second.
All right, motion and second to discuss.
Great. Okay, so the pool opening is not looking good. Jesse has some numbers on applicants.
Right now,
Yeah. you
Right
can
now, we
just-
have 8 lifeguards. One will not be 15 till mid-June. One already has another part-time job. And we have one person interested in the management position. I've had a couple other people talk to me about managing the pool. They're just not, they don't want to get certified as a lifeguard. So that doesn't help us really with the whole lifeguard situation. So
So
that's just where we're at right now, I
Yeah.
guess.
When it comes down to it, we have about 6.5 lifeguards when you consider the part-timer and then the person who's going to be leaving and vacationing for an undisclosed amount of time, or an unknown amount of time. And so, given the capital that we need to lay out to keep the pool running and keep it in good condition, and the lack of staff, I can't in good conscience suggest that we open the pool. While it is an amenity that is nice to have, at the same time, it's like we're looking at pouring $250,000 into the pool, and we would realistically, if we were to open with the crew that has applied, probably 2 days a week, maybe 2.5 or 3. And to put that into perspective, like, we have advertised these openings all over the place. I'm sure you've seen them online, at Starmont's, here at City Hall, in windows around town. Every child and adult that has walked in here, we've hit them up to apply for those positions. We've upped the hourly rate to be really competitive, and we're just not getting a lot of people interested. So I feel like we've given it a really good effort to try to get the roster, and like the lack of getting those rosters isn't by any lack of effort or attempts to get in front of these kids, so. So that's where we're at, and, obviously, this is a big, major decision for the city, and, that's why it's in front of you to sort of help give direction. And, if the decision is to close the pool, like, I'm happy to be the bad guy and explain to people that we don't have staff to open it. It's not that the city council wanted to close the pool, it's not that we wanted to close the pool, but if we don't have the staff to do it safely, it just, it's gonna be a disaster again, and I don't wanna have 2 years of disaster on our
I'm
record.
just afraid once we close it, it is probably something that won't ever come back.
Right. Then what? Then it becomes an eyesore, and what do we do with it?
Well, there's options that we would bring forward for that space. We wouldn't just leave it be like a ghost town pool. We would probably bulldoze it and fill it in, turn that into, more green space. We would think of what we could do there. We definitely don't just want to leave an old pool, decaying over there without any use.
And the splash pad then, that was a huge deal, and it's not that old.
Yeah.
Is that something that could operate by itself, or no?
I think it's deep enough that we need a lifeguard. You would probably know more than I would on this.
I don't know if we're legally required to have a lifeguard there, but I guess
like so many
in
inches of
general,
water,
we've had so many accidents happen there
Mm-hmm.
in the 6 years I've been here that it's been open that
Need one.
Yeah.
I'm going to comment on that because they had just small wading pools in parks around Ames. And 20 years ago, they were required to have a lifeguard in each one of those.
What do you have to have a
I was gonna say,
And then
yeah.
does that run separately on water and chemicals than the pool completely by itself?
But I don't know how you'd ever keep the other pools separate.
Because it's not separated off at all. Yeah, which presents a safety hazard to have an empty pool sitting there where people have access to it.
Yeah.
What kind of updates would we have to do to keep the pool open this year?
Bare minimum.
Yeah.
Like
bones.
capital improvements.
Like that we would have to do to have the pool open, not
we
things
need
that
the
we want to
Eric
done.
we would need the pumps, right?
Well, the heaters, but, one went last year, didn't work, the other one did. You can take a shot and see if they work. I don't know. Painting, you push it another year. Maintenance wise, you wouldn't absolutely have to do anything, but I'm not gonna make any guarantees we're gonna heat a pool all year.
But the chemicals alone are a huge expense.
Yeah, the chemical, it's gonna cost you the same whether you open 2 days a week or 7.
Right.
Correct. The chemicals the same way.
But on capital improvement, we wouldn't have to redo showers.
Yeah.
That could come off the table.
That could come off the table.
And that's
But
Yeah.
just
A big
operating
chunk.
costs are a lot to open it in general.
The operating costs are going to be around a little over $100,000.
Right.
Which is what we're looking at if we're open, and we're only open 2 days a week.
Well, except for, but you wouldn't be paying guards.
Well, depending on how many days
You're
we're
only
open.
open.
Right.
You wouldn't be paying
So here's-
7 days of.
So here's what the problem's going to be. If we open 2 days, these kids who are applying want the job. Only 1 or 2 of them have other jobs. If we're only open 2 days a week, we're going to lose those applicants as well because they're going to get other jobs elsewhere that are going to guarantee them hours and better income. So, it's kind of a catch-22. If we don't open for many days a week, we're probably going to lose, some of the applicants that have come in. And so that concerns me. And then figuring out the 2 days a week that we could stay open with the current roster is going to be the hardest 2 days to get them to want to work, which will be the weekends.
I would say the opposite. I would, just from past experiences, there's a lot less people there at the pool on the weekends than there is during the week.
Okay. Yeah.
He's not talking about attendance, he's talking about working. If they're a teenager and we're only open 2 days a week, employing them 2 days a week, they're gonna find another job where they can.
No, but I'm talking about
5 days.
attendance. You were talking about attendance, right?
Both.
He's talking
Yeah.
about.
Just getting people there, staff
Right.
in.
So have we got these group of kids together to say, hey, this is what we got going on? some of you wanna work, obviously, some of you don't. I mean, there might be some kids, or 4 or 5 kids that are committed to being like, yeah, I'll work every day.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, have we gone down that avenue just to say that we've,
We've spoken to many of them, and it's a hard game to play, right? It's a juggle. Like, we don't know. Also, we saw last year, like, they tapered off once sports started in school, like, they didn't want to work anymore. You know, so like the last 2 to 3 weeks of the season, it's really hard to get anybody's schedule. What concerns me about opening up 2 days a week is I really like to operate on a how you do anything is how you do everything basis. And I feel like if we open up part-time, it's, pardon my French, it's just going to be half-assed all season. And, you know, we've talked about this, we've, you know, talked about the flow chart. If we get a certain number of applicants, we made a really good faith effort to get them. We don't have them, and I feel like it's important not to throw good money after bad. Like, I just don't see the pool being successful.
Because if we're only operating with enough staffed up and part-time and somebody calls in sick, then we have to close that day.
Then you have to close that day.
And they don't show up, and I've seen each year, and we've been here, that it just keeps getting worse and worse.
Yeah,
With
and
people manning it.
Yeah, and we're not alone in this. I mean, Edgewood has problems, Manchester has problems, like, it is really...
But they're not closed, like, what are they, like,
Yeah.
they're not saying they're gonna close, that's what, like, how are they getting by?
Yeah, well, I mean, they're getting, I mean, Manchester obviously has a bigger pool,
Right.
or bigger pool, like, bigger candidate pool. I don't know how Edgewood is doing it, but, you know, everybody's complaining that it's really hard to get kids to do the job, and, I'm, again, whatever is the decision of the council, we will execute that decision the best that we can. But I do want to put it out there that opening 2 or 3 days a week is going to be expensive, and I don't know that the return on that investment is there for a couple of days.
Well, the pool's never a moneymaker, right?
No, I just mean yeah, not like the return, the financial return,
Right.
but like the opening 2 days a week.
The
like,
benefit is not worth.
Yeah, I don't know if the amenity is worth
I
it.
just don't know if I'm ready to put like the name on the coffin and be like, we're done.
Yeah.
But eventually it's gonna happen.
We've seen that it's been going down, and I've been in here one
I mean, we've struggled year after year for the past how many years?
But what else do we have to offer?
I think that it's time to go to a vote.
That's up to you guys, yeah.
I think that it's time to vote on it.
Yeah.
Have we talked to Edgewood to see like if they wanted to, I don't wanna say merge together, but if we could have like, hey, we'll open these 2 days and.
We did that last
So
year.
we tried to do that last year, and the problem is, let's say that we say Monday and Wednesday, we can't even guarantee that we're gonna be open Monday and Wednesday, A, because of weather, B, kids get sick, or, you know, there are conflicts with another job. Like, we really need a roster to be able to do it the right way. And the roster that has applied it's iffy, and there's just not enough. And believe me, I really want to have a pool because it is a nice amenity, but at the same time, it's like if we are doing this and scrambling all the time, mistakes could be made. We're hiring, you know, accidents could happen over there. Like, it's a lot of risk, and it's not a huge reward. And I'm just concerned about not having enough people to be able to do it. And then if we work with Edgewood and we say you're open Monday, Wednesday, Friday, we're Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, and then we have a weather day and a sick day, you know, now we're closed for a week and a half, and
Well, that's
then
just part of it,
reneging
I
on
mean,
our...
we're doing what we could do to be open, I guess, you know?
Yeah.
People would have to be willing to accept
I think not to interrupt, but you've been trying to do that, and when they're not there, and they've had to close the pool down, I've been here when there's been some pretty nasty phone calls, and things are getting said on Facebook, and it's not nice. I mean, it's not Jess or Dino's fault.
Nobody said it was.
No,
It's just
but they're
a
getting,
conversation to be had.
you know, they're the ones that's getting hounded, and I feel bad about that. Why put them through that when I've seen what's been going on the last few years when they haven't had enough people to have it open?
I don't think that anybody wants to close the pool, but I think in the last 2 years, especially, you know, it has been going downhill, and we do see the things that get posted on Facebook, and that also looks not great for the town when,
No, I just,
you know, they're constantly...
what do we have to offer?
In terms of,
Okay, I'm done.
you mean like other amenities? You mean like alternatives to the pool?
Right,
Okay,
right.
yeah, it's a great question. I mean, this is it is an amenity, it is there, it is an important thing. You know, and yeah, in the perfect world, none of us would ever want to shut the pool down, but the reality of working in this climate and the reality of getting teenagers to want to work is really inhibiting, you know, and so this traditional amenity that's been I swam in that pool 30-something years ago, like, you know, it's been around. At the same time, 30 years ago, nobody had a pool in their backyard. Now, many people have pools in their backyards here, and you know, transportation is a little bit more readily available. There is a pool in Manchester that people can use. There is a pool in Edgewood that people can use, and you know, it's the reality is things have changed. The climate has changed, and we need to change with it.
Sometimes you need to move on.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. So again, whatever the decision of the council is, we will execute it 100% to our ability. We don't want to close it, but we can't in good conscience tell you that we're going to be able to do a good job because the data doesn't support that. And we do need to make a decision tonight, as you know, like purchases are, you know, we would need to make immediate purchases.
I make the motion that we close the pool for this season because we do not have enough staff to run the pool comfortably.
I'll second.
Okay. Motion and second to not open the pool this season due to lack of staff. Any other questions or comments? Now we'll go to vote. Michelle?
No.
Larry?
Yes.
Megan?
No.
Sarah?
Yes.
Deb?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you for all your work trying to make
Yeah.
something happen.
Yeah, I'm really sorry it didn't. I mean, I'm really sorry it didn't work out, and it's just it sucks. I mean, it puts us in a bad spot, and
Yeah.
we don't want to be there. And, you know, we're certainly going to field all the calls and questions about it, and we'll probably put out a press release explaining exactly the why. We give all the statistics that we have so that people can see that, you know, this decision was not made lightly.
If something would change and some candidates come forward that could be used, the pool, could we undo this? You know, if something would show up, if people would show up but we'd have to vote again to undo it. And even if we have people that for some reason or another haven't indicated interest but would.
Well, they're not gonna waste their time anymore, right? Am I
It is
correct saying we're not gonna
No,
go out and look?
I mean, look, if miraculously 20 people applied overnight and they were, you know, able and like, of course we would bring it back to the board and say, this happened. The reason that we have the deadline of tonight is because we have to make some purchase decisions to open it on time. So any of the things that could happen would have to happen in the next 48 hours. Which, you know, it's not unheard of, right? You know, something could happen, and we would bring it back. We'd probably add a special meeting on the end of the budget hearing, you know, if something like that were to happen. It's unlikely, but we can't keep that door open if you know, if something does.
Yeah, okay.
I would like, if we're gonna keep it closed, though, to come up with some ideas or some things to do instead of just letting it sit rot away for years.
Yeah, we'll work on that internally. We'll have a staff meeting and try to come up with some alternatives there. You know, we can look at the splash pad and see if, you know, like, is there a way to not need a lifeguard there? You know, we'll work it out. Now that we have some direction and know what, you know, what's kind of happening, we'll scramble this week and see if we can come up with some ideas.
Okay, great, thank you.
Yeah.
All right, other business.
No other business. I think Larry has some.
Mayor. Part of it's because I'm new on the council and what I'm going to say, but I think it has relevance to the whole council and to the community itself. the times, they are changing, obviously, in this community and in the country and everything else. For instance, do you know Nading has a hitching post now for an Amish team? Now, how many of us could have predicted that 10 or 20 or 30 years ago even, that there would be a hitching post for a team of horses or a horse and a
I
buggy?
can ride my horse here now.
Yeah.
I need a horse first.
I think, given the changes that are taking place, I feel, at least I, need to understand our community more deeply and where, as a council, we need to go in the future. For instance, this pool discussion is a good example of that. How do we handle these things in the future? What do we need to do? We've got to act on things and support them in a timely, purposeful way. And what I'll keep this brief, 5 minutes. No, not before. 5. That's what it says.
That's going to be the longest speech ever said at this board table. Yeah, no.
Anyway, and I've talked to Dino about this. I would like to see a SWOT analysis of this community. A SWOT analysis is reaching out to the whole community, and Dino can explain the details. I'll just speak in general terms. The strengths, S, of the community, T, W, weaknesses of the community, O, the opportunities that are in this community, and T, the threats that hurt, like for instance, even as we were discussing the pool here. A SWOT analysis would involve the entire community, more than just a few residents, but it would give us a feel of where our community is in these rapidly changing times and how we can make decisions that are in tune with that. And in talking to Dino, he suggested a community engagement survey. And he could explain about that. And that would involve the entire community. The idea would collect all this information and be able to analyze it and use it to formulate the things we're going to do in the future. We could use it in part to plan the 26th budget and beyond, because we have information that this is what the community wants, or this is what it feels it needs. And the 175th anniversary of Strawberry Point is in 2028. So it would prepare us to maybe have something, that would crystallize the community and bring it together in a way that it will allow us to, do what we need to do to make this community grow again. I guess the reason I even was interested in this, a SWOT analysis in particular, was the decline of population in this community. 9.7% in the decade previous. People know that there was a major fallout, and also the fact that Clayton County went down 6%. And I think we have a community that has the possibilities for being a dynamic community, because we have Backbone Park, we've got the 2 highways that intersect, and we have some other things that are, I think, very positive. And somehow I feel, and this is speaking as a new person here, so to speak, that if we can collect the information from the community and what it feels like and where it wants to go and how it wants to go, we can begin to feed into that and use it and help us then as a council make decisions on behalf of the community. And we know that the community is there behind us because they have spoken to us.
We did that for the pool. They
Yeah.
they sent out a survey
Yeah.
for that.
Do you want me to, Larry, to
Yeah.
give us a brief synopsis of what we
Yeah.
talked about?
Yeah.
So, sort of like we did with the pool, like a community-wide thing. We did this back in Oak Park. And luckily, I still have the software to do all of this and, you know, create this community engagement survey. But we thought about doing it toward the end of the year, you know, in the fall, after everybody's had a summer here. And doing community engagement, and then look at, get some visitors who, came through to take part in the survey, business owners, residents, so on and so forth, and then take those data, create the SWOT analysis, which would come after the engagement survey, and then use that to sort of inform future budgets. And then if we like that process, add it to our annual sort of calendar. Sometimes you could do it, like bigger communities, we would do it like every 2 to 3 years. In a smaller community, it would be easy to do it once a year. And then have some measurables, like see where the community wants to go and chart a course to get there, and then put some measurements in place to make sure that we're hitting those goals. So I told them to use it earlier in the week. I said it's a good idea. So if there's direction on the board to bring something like that forward, we'll start working on it once budget season's over.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, everybody.